Kay, welcome to the Live the Width of Your Life podcast. I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And I'm really interested in what it is that you do because as someone who left a traditional setting, I was in banking for a very long time and felt a call or a pull to be a healer in this world, to do things that are more soul led. I know that I stayed where I was because I felt stuck and maybe there were some fears and things that kept me there. So tell me a little bit more about your background. And then most importantly, too, how you came to become this rapid reprogramming coach and intuitive business guide.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So I do think that we tend to, not we, I will tell you in a minute, I jumped off the deep end head first. But most of us really, we tend to stay in that place of, I feel like there's more. It gets to a point where it's painful. I had that as well. It just was a super quick thing, but we're comfortable and there is safety in that long-term job, in that long-term paycheck. There is safety in the way of thinking, what are other people going to think? My coworkers, my boss, my family, all of these things play in to our decision and to our ability to feel safe and to feel confident that we can do this thing. So I understand that completely. I was a teacher for about 14 years. I taught public high school. I actually taught dance in public high school, which was amazing and fun. It was also super rewarding and also a lot of work. Teachers work really hard. There's a lot of hoops to jump through all the time, but that's not why I left. I went through a dark night of the soul. I went through that first awakening point. And after that, things really started to open up spiritually for me. And my job actually became easier. My life was like so much more fulfilling. I could go into a classroom, have a lesson plan, and my students like just not be getting it or not be interested. And it just wasn't working. And because I had meditated that morning, I felt grounded. And in practice with my spirituality, I was able to just transition into a new direction that engaged my students more, that felt more fulfilling to all of us. And it really was a happier life. And then a little point forward, I just knew that it was time to end that chapter. And that I knew that I had to bring this feeling of fulfillment and just feeling at peace within yourself and within your life instead of trying to avoid all the things that we feel are painful, all the things that people do when they're living that hamster wheel. And I felt I have to leave the classroom so that I can tell the world that we don't have to live this way anymore, that it can be different and it can be better. And with that, one day, I'm also in this version of my life, I was a huge people pleaser. So the fact that I even had the courage to do this still astounds me. I think that the stars were most definitely aligned that day, but I went to my principal and said, I love this school and I love my coworkers and most days I love my job, but I am not coming back next year. I need to start a new chapter. And so then that started this journey of entrepreneurship. I really didn't know quite what I was going to do. I knew that I loved the one-on-one connections that I have with my students. And so I knew that I wanted to go into coaching. I wanted to work with adults because that really ripples down to the children. And these children that we are bringing into the world right now, they are super special. I have one of my own. They're really special. And I think that it takes conscious adults to be able to honor their needs, to be able to honor their wisdom. So that is where it all started. And within that first couple years, I became aware that it was hard. And there were beliefs, there were things like, what are people going to think? Because I'm working from home, I should be the one to do all the things. When you're working from home, you don't have time to do all the things. But yet I had this belief that my husband thought that I should be doing all the things. And so then we're just creating a lot of internal dialogue that really eats away at you, and you are not able to find the fulfilling routines that you left that job for, if that makes sense. So that is what I help women with, is overcoming the internal dialogue.
That's amazing. So, were there any internal dialogues that you had to overcome yourself first? Were there things that you noticed that were some old tapes playing in the background of your own mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think now of what they were, which is a great example of how well these methods work. And one that really comes up a lot, I think, for many of us is when it gets hard and we feel like, oh, I'm just not cut out for this. This is hard. I'm not cut out for this. And that's a lie. It's a lie that we tell ourselves. We're chasing certifications and degrees. I don't know enough yet. That was one thing that I really struggled with in the beginning with coaching, especially when I moved. My business has had three different phases. I was a health coach, then I was a mindset coach, and now I do what I do now. And so when I moved from health to mindset, I was comparing myself to therapists, and I can't charge what a therapist charges because I don't have a degree in therapy. I don't have that master's. I don't have that education. And we're not therapists. It is different. It's totally different. Both therapy and coaching are very useful, and they are different things. So anyway, yeah, that was a belief, is I'm not enough yet. I don't know enough.
That's a big one. I remember when I left my corporate career and started coaching as well, I got so many different certifications. Like I just felt like I needed to replace everything that I'd learned in 25 years of my past career in like the fastest amount of time, just to show that I was credible in a new field, in a new space. And I see a lot of people get stuck in that. And especially sometimes if instead of taking action, which is really what the answer should be, is taking
Mhm.
aligned action, it's more of a procrastination through a continuous learning and taking more classes and spending more money and hoping that the next thing is actually going to
Mhm.
give you the business results that you're looking for. So, what are some of the tools, the methods that you use that you found to be most effective as you're working with these spiritual entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So, tools and methods. I use the rapid reprogramming, which is a subconscious brain training. And it's a practice, just like meditation and exercise. It's a practice. It's not one and done. You got to keep working on it. But the idea is that if you really get to the root of the belief and you program that, it's one time, it's reprogramming at one time. But the problem is the way that belief, the shows up in the mental loops and the thoughts that go on in our mind, it can have 5 to 10 different versions of a thought, if that makes sense. So you do have to work on those. And again, it's a practice, but it is highly worth it. The other thing that I found really beneficial in my life, and I was certified a year ago, Akashic Records, using the Akashic Records for guidance, for divine support. And it's a very benevolent experience. I find that when I do these strategy readings for other people, they are actually able to feel and know the love that is there for them, the support that is there for them on the other side of the veil through their spirit guide team. And many of us either don't know our guides, whether because they're new to this or because maybe they've tried and they just can't quite get there. So to be able to have that moment to receive that love and support and to know, one of the biggest things is, what would you do if you knew that you were completely and utterly supported? I think that's why I was able to take that leap that day and go to my principal and say, I'm not coming back next year, which was completely out of character for me. But I knew that it was the next step. I knew it was the right thing to do. And I knew that I was supported in that step.
I haven't had an Akashic record yet reading, but if someone is interested in that, like what are some of the things? Should they come prepared with questions in advance, or like how does it actually work? And maybe just a little bit more detail for those that may have not heard of Akashic records or the readings.
Yes. Perfect question. Really good. So the records are like an energetic library of every thought, idea that has happened throughout time. There are people that can read the records for Gaia, for Earth. And so different readers, and we all have different gifts, we all have different passions. And so that translates into our work. So, me personally, I read records for an individual person working with your spirit guide team and your business guides to bring you guidance for aligning your business actions with your soul's purpose. and they are the best ones to help with that. So that's where my expertise goes with this. But if you would think of, like I said, every thought, every idea, every action that happened like throughout time, it's a very vast place. Of course, it's an energetic thing, right? It's a very vast idea. We have what we call Akashic record keepers, and they are, I think of them like a Google search. We ask a question and they search for the answer. It gets channeled through me, and then I translate that information in ways that are accurate and meaningful to the best of my ability to the client. So yeah, they do want to come with questions. And when someone signs up for an Akashic reading, both in ones that I've had personally with other people and then also with mine, of course, too, is you get a PDF that kind of explains things a little bit more so that you know what to expect. You can feel comfortable, you can feel safe, and you can make that list of questions. In a 50-minute session, I usually get through about 4 questions. And I do like to gear them towards helping you strategize what actions that you can take in your business to feel more aligned and for it to feel more ease. As entrepreneurs, we think that we have to do all the things. And if you're following all the gurus online, you're going to end up spinning and overwhelmed because there's no way you can possibly do all the things and check all the boxes. But there is those few certain things that are meant for you. And that's the heart of what we want to get to.
Amazing. That's wonderful. And going back to some of the things you talked about was reprogramming of subconscious thoughts or maybe old stories. What are some of the things, the most common ones that you have found with the women that you are working with?
What will people think? That is really one of the biggest ones, especially as we shed the layers and move into more authenticity. As we grow spiritually and personally, our business grows with us because it is a part of you, especially if it is a soul led business. It is a living, breathing part of you. And so it also has to evolve. And so you're shedding your skin, you're becoming more vulnerable, you're becoming more authentically you. Being seen in that light is scary. So that is a very common one that I work on first. In my method of practice, the first thing that I work on is support, being able to receive support both in your life, in your business, and in your spiritual world. And then the second thing is visibility. It is a big thing where people do not feel safe being seen or being heard and voicing these opinions and thoughts that are outside of the box and think, what is my sister going to think? What is my best friend going to think? What is my former coworker going to think? What is my spouse going to think if I say this? So there's that. And I'm racking my brain for more money. So I can't charge that. Who would pay that? I can't charge that, or I'm not worth that, or I don't have that degree to charge that. So that's a big one that plays into being able to make an income, make a life doing what you love. If you are used to being employed your entire life, you grew up in that world, you work really hard, and that paycheck is safe. And we're no longer in that place. When you're an entrepreneur, you are no longer in the place of a safe paycheck. You create your income, and the sky's the limit. But if your belief system is set on, I can't charge people for what comes easy and fun to me, then that's a problem. That's something that we need to work on so that you can charge what you're worth and you can receive the income that you need in order to support yourself and your family to live the life that you love.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other one that I hear a lot is the people pleasing, as you mentioned, maybe imposter syndrome. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm good enough to do this. Do you see any of those too in the women that you're working with?
It comes down to worth. Yes, a lot of imposter syndrome. And that's also where that feeling of I don't have enough education yet, the visibility comes into that too. Yes. So feeling like an imposter. And a lot of mindset coaches, you hear embody it, you have to embody it first, fake it till you make it kind of thing. But in my experience, that actually never really worked. I think it had me stepping into a version that wasn't authentic for me.
Right.
So this way of reprogramming them at the source that actually helps you to embody it in a more authentic way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely have heard people talk about doing an alter ego or showing up as a different version of yourself until you're there, but that never felt genuine or right. I think that it's really doing the work on worthiness, as you mentioned too, which is so critical. And I agree that's a lot of these feelings of imposter syndrome or even people pleasing really comes down to being worthy just of being yourself, just being who you are and not
Mhm.
tying your identity to all these other either achievements or titles or money or any of those things. So, what are some of the biggest breakthroughs that you've seen when people have gone through an Akashic strategy reading, for
Mhm.
example? Because that's a different way to approach like business strategy. So, what are some of the things that maybe you can share without breaking confidentiality, but just like some maybe client examples of things that people have been able to do?
Sure, yes. And I want to say what you had just mentioned about the Akashic Records help and immensely with that first session of just knowing and feeling how supported and how loved you are, that sense of worthiness, you are worthy as you are, really sets in. Whether it's something that is spoken or not, whether it's talked about or not, I think it's a feeling that kind of comes over the client. So, yeah, so examples are, let's see, one of my longer term clients, she was working on, she had a side job, her business, and she'd had her business for a period and then needed to go back to work, needed to get another job in order to support herself and her family, which is very common. And she wanted to get to the place where, so when that happened, it really shifted the balance and she wasn't able to work on her business very much because she was having to work in her jobs a lot. She had two of them. I was able to offer a healing through her guides. And after this session, after this healing, she was able to go to her work and peacefully and diplomatically be able to negotiate different hours, different whatever it was, so that she was able to actually make more money and have more time for herself, her family, and her business. So that was a big thing. And then another client that was just the strategy reading, she had all the pieces in place. She was already taking all of the aligned action or taking action in her business. But there was a lot of pressure on her to wear all the hats, to do all the things, and pressure to make money, pressure to make it succeed and to make money. Through this session, and at this point, I can't actually remember exactly what was said in the session, but I just know that afterwards, that pressure was completely relieved from her. In her testimonial, she talked about how it was just lifted. It was gone. The pressure was relieved. And right after that, I think like less than a month after that, her business just kind of blew up on Instagram. And yeah, and I think it's because she was able to get that energetic goop out of the way. You know what I mean? And so it could just flow. Everything was ready to flow in. Once the pressure was gone, the valve was opened, it all just flowed in.
I love that. And speaking of money, because it definitely is, continues to be a block for people. And we have so many old money stories, many people. What are some of the things, the ways that the Akashic strategy can help with that? What is it? Do you need to address the initial belief that you have and then release it? Or how do you replace it with something different?
Yeah, this is a good question. And I'm considering the best answer here because what's interesting is there's no money on the other side. There's no currency on the other side of the veil.
Right.
So sometimes we have to be a little bit clear about, I want this income consistently each month. What is the best route for me to take in my business and in my life in order to be able to attain this? So being clear about that question, and that will come down to giving us offerings. So what is it that you're already offering and where should you put your focus on? I've even gotten from my guides, they help me build the funnels. They help me to build everything and know what to focus on. And as a human design generator who can get really overwhelmed with a lot of decisions, that has really helped me to align my focus, my clarity, to feel like I have clear direction and I know where I'm going and what I'm doing and not get lost in that like looping of thoughts.
That's amazing. And it's so true, right? There is no money on the other side. So
Mm-hmm.
it's important to think through, how do you ask the questions? So
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And so if folks want to work with you, Kay, and learn more about the different services that you offer, what is the best way that they can find you?
Yeah. K Miller, that's Kay, kmillercoach.com is the website where you can find me and you can book your Akashic reading straight from the webpage. And I am also on YouTube and Instagram, so you can find me there.
Wonderful. And is there a link then to be able to schedule a reading? Do you usually ask people to meet with you beforehand, or can they just go and straight schedule it?
Yep, that's the way that it's done best is just go right into a reading. And I do want to put this out there and to feel safe. This is a completely benevolent experience. I do the prayer that I do to open the records, open your records is calling in guides, ascended masters, angels and archangels, and ancestors, past on loved ones that are there to guide us and help us, and through 100% love and light. So it is safe. I'll put it that way. We are not calling in anything that could give you guidance that is not for your highest good. I'm very particular about that.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I have a final question I ask everyone is, what does it mean to you to live the width of your life?
To follow the intuition, follow the nudges. Your soul is here. You're here in a human body through the gift of your soul. It has the answers, it has the wisdom, and it has the solutions that you need. The legacy that I hope that I leave is to let the voice of the heart be stronger and louder than the voice in the mind. So follow your heart. That's what it means to me. To live the width of your life is to follow your soul's nudges, listen, and don't be afraid to step in to what it's calling you to.
Oh, that's beautiful. Kate, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for being a light in this world and doing the great work that you are doing. And I hope you have continued success.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.